They don't even know what's on a nigga mental. Nope. They don't even know that I might cause no issue. Shit.
Shoebox Sports. I'm your host, Mr. Kid, accompanied by yours truly, Scunny Boy Jenkins and Mr. Secavani himself. What's going on, guys?
What's going on, man?
Not a whole lot.
Jam-packed weekend, wasn't it?
Yeah, man, a lot of disappointments, a lot of mixed emotion. All right, y'all, so just some final thoughts in a nutshell for Week 18. Mahomes is still the greatest. Dax is ass. Lambo is dead. Titans need a goddamn quarterback. Come on, Mike, get it done. Brown's number one priority should be Watson gaining chemistry with the offense. Ravens' only hope for next week is getting Lamar back. Vikings look good against a deflated team, but I doubt it rolls over into the postseason. Giants might whoop that behind. Can't even lie. Bills get her done. Dolphins sneak into the playoffs. Falcons open the can of whoop ass against Mr. Brady. Seahawks will need the reps to have any success in the playoffs. Brock Purdy might be legit and so on and so forth. Josh, would you like to do the honors?
Yes, with that being said, we're going through a Week 18 rundown. First, we had the Chiefs versus Raiders, which ended up 31-13 Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes was 18 for 26 with 202 yards and one touchdown. Jared Stidham went for 22 for 36, 219 yards, one touchdown, one interception. This game, a lot of people thought the Chiefs were going to rest their starters, but they end up not, for the simple fact that they wanted that number one spot in the playoffs. With the number one spot, you get a bye, and that is very important. You want to rest your players before the season. As far as Oakland, they're dealing with a bunch of things as far as quarterback, coaching, and their defense. Hopefully, they go into the off season and get a lot of those things fixed. Next matchup, we had the Titans versus Jags. I had the Jags winning with this last week, and I was correct. It was 16-20. T. Law was 20 for 32, 212 yards and one touchdown. With this game, it was basically a turnover type of game. Dobbs was 20 for 29, 179 yards, one touchdown, and one interception, which cost them. And we can see what the Titans tried to do this game with Derrick Henry. They tried to pound the ball. He had 30 carries and 109 yards, but that interception cost them, which turnovers are big factors when it comes to tight situational games. Next matchup, we had the Browns versus Steelers. The Steelers actually had a good game, and they actually won 14-28. Pickett was 13 for 29, 195 yards and one touchdown. That means he didn't turn an interception and he didn't turn the ball over. Deshaun Watson was 19 for 29, 232 yards, two touchdowns, but two interceptions. So far, we can see the trend is do not turn the ball over. All right, next matchup, we had the Ravens versus Bengals. The Ravens are on the third string quarterback. They went from Lamar to Huntley to Brown. Okay, Brown was 19 for 44, 286 yards, and two touchdowns. See, with this being said, you can see he hasn't had a lot of reps. He was less than 50% completing percentage. But they tried to hold it on, but the Bengals just broke it out too strong. Joe Burrow was 25 for 42, 215 yards, and one touchdown. What can I say? Joe Burrow and the Bengals have just sprinted off. They could be very dangerous and will be very dangerous actually in the playoffs. Next matchup, we have Vikings versus Bears. This was a good game just to see what the Bears got left and just to do some, I guess, checking, addressing, see what they need on offense, defense, and special teams. Kirk Cousins was 17 for 20, 225 yards and one touchdown. He had a very efficient game. Um, this is a good game to get into the playoffs to get a head start rolling. Peterman was 11 for 19, 114 yards and one touchdown. Next game, you had the Pats versus Bills. The Bills are going hard for Damar Hamlin. Those who don't know, he was in a tragic accident on the field to where he made a hit and a rare cardiac illness still upon him, but he's doing all right and he's doing fine. All right, Mac Jones was 26 for 40, 243 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Like I said, you got to keep the ball clean. No turnovers. They end up having 3, and they end up costing the game. The Pats end up making it tight down the end, but the Bills end up pulling away towards the end. Josh Allen was 19 for 31, 254 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Next, we had the Jets versus Dolphins. Okay, it was a good game, low scoring game actually. I take that back. It wasn't really a good game. It was a mess, full of penalties. Both teams were down to the third quarterback. You had Joe Flacco and Thompson just dueling in and out. Joe Flacco was 18 for 33, 149 yards, and Thompson was 20 for 31, 152 yards. The Dolphins ended up getting the dub 6-11. But it was a messy game. Hopefully, these two teams can go into an offseason and figure out a quarterback. All right, next game, we had Bucks versus Falcons. The GOAT didn't have a GOAT type of game. 13 for 17, although explicit, he only had 89 yards passing and 1 touchdown. Going in the playoffs, that's just not going to cut it. Everybody knows that. Brady knows that. So hopefully the Bucks get better. Ritter was 19 for 30, 224 yards and 2 touchdowns. This last game was a bright game for Ritter. I don't know if the Falcons will go into the draft looking for a quarterback, but they need to give Ritter some more evaluation. Um, with big plays to Drake London, he has 6 catches for 120 yards. So they have weapons. Next game, you have Panthers versus Saints. Darnold was 5 for 15 and 43 yards, and Dalton was 18 for 25, 171 yards, and 1 touchdown. By Dalton's stats, you would think the Saints won, but actually they didn't. The Panthers won 10-7, another low-scoring game. They need to get better. The Saints and the Panthers need to get better overall, just over the offseason. They got a lot of things they need answers for. Next game, we had Texans and Colts. The Texans actually pulled this one out, 32-31. This win gave the Bears the #1 pick in the draft and gave the Texans the #2. Each quarterback did their own thing, pretty efficient. Mills was 22 for 38, 298 yards, 3 touchdowns, but he had 2 interceptions though. Ellinger was 23 for 35, 209 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. These type of games can get messy, but even though that, they can retract and get back together. Hopefully, these teams look good next season. Next game, we had the Cards versus 49ers. Seg, you want to take that one?
Yeah, absolutely. So this one really isn't too much of an important game, rather than the Niners just having a potential to get first place, already locking in with the fifth seed and not putting in their starters. So that being said, Brock Purdy just goes to show how dominant he can be. You mentioned how many third string quarterbacks there's been in these leagues, and this team just continues to show on and show up forth. We scored 37 points against a meaningless Cardinals team who, by the way, respected J.J. Watt. Great career, not season, but great career for him. So shout out to him. But no, Niners did the thing. McCaffrey is just a bullet, and every single time he touches the ball, he just has acceleration on any given time. And going forward, I mean, no one's talking about Kyle Shanahan having a Coach of the Year nomination, by the way. So I just want to put that out there. Kyle Shanahan deserves a Coach of the Year nomination with having to deal with so many injured players. And shout out Elijah Mitchell. He's back from being down with the ACL injury coming week 3. So we're ready. We're locked in. Nothing less than the ship. I said earlier, I don't want to go to the Super Bowl. I want to win the Super Bowl. So we getting there.
Understood, man. We understood. Next game we had the Cowboys versus Commanders. It was 6-26. Dak play, like I said about the Cowboys. What killed them is picks and penalties. Dak Prescott was 14 for 27, 129 yards, one touchdown, and one interception. That interception came at an unvaluable time. The Dallas need to get their stuff together if they're gonna need go in the playoffs and try to make a run. They got the Bucks first game. They lost them on first game of the season. So let's just see how that works out. As far as with the penalties, they had 6 penalties for 74 yards, while Washington only had 2 for 20. So picks and penalties, you guys. Look out for the Cowboys. Next matchup, you want to take that away? We had Rams versus Seahawks.
I think I don't even want to talk about this, man. It was a very important game, not just for the Seahawks, but for the Detroit Lions also. The Seahawks lost, they could have gotten into the playoffs, but unfortunately it didn't happen. With the Rams versus the Seahawks game, it was a pretty tight game, a lot of field goals, a lot of missed opportunities. But overall, Seahawks got it done. It was a very run-dominant game by Kenneth Walker. 29 carries for 114 yards, 3.9 average. Geno Smith wasn't very in there that game, but it really didn't matter. 19 for 31, 213 yards, one touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Baker Mayfield had 13 for 26, 147 yards, 1 interception. Cam Akers led most of the way with 21 carries and 104 yards. So very run-dominant game today, but overall, Seahawks got the dub in overtime. As far as the Lions, 40 minutes before the game, they found out that they was eliminated from the playoffs, but it didn't matter. The Lions get the dub 20-16. Jared Goff had a pretty decent day. Not the best, 23 for 34, 224 yards. Jamal Williams had 16 carries for 72 yards, 4.5 average, 2 touchdowns. DeAndre Swift also had 6 carries for 25 yards, 4.2 average, and he had a few pass catches along the way also.
So the Seahawks, if for those who don't know, the Seahawks are in, the Lions are out. The Lions beat the Packers, which made the Packers go home. That's all we wanted. If we weren't gonna make the playoffs, we sent them home.
Yeah.
All right. Then the next final 2 matchups we had was the Giants versus Eagles with 16-22 Eagles. It was Jalen Hurts' first game back. They did all right. They didn't run him there very much. They were more run-oriented and more controlling the clock-wise. That ended up with the dub. Both of them are in the playoffs, though. They might see each other soon. And then the last matchup we had was the Chargers versus Broncos. 20-31 Broncos. I didn't see the Broncos winning this game. The last game they put up 20-something points. So they've been adding more points since they fired their head coach. This was just a game of tape for the next head coach for the Broncos, just to see what Russell Wilson can do. And do he still have enough in the tank?
And for some odd reason, I got disconnected from my co-host. We were going to do quick thoughts going into next week's wildcard matchups. We'll drop that in a separate video. Well, that includes the end of today's segment. If you enjoyed, please make sure to like, subscribe, as well as hit the notification button. Questions, comments, or concerns, be sure to leave them down below. By the way, don't forget to check out our other channels like Shoebox Network as well.